can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Niall. Delighted as always to be joined by Owen, and we're here in final prediction mode for an intriguing heavyweight clash this weekend in Saudi Arabia. As Filip Hrgovic, coming off the win against Joe Joyce last time out, faces the former British champion David Adeleye. Yeah, real unexpected one this, to be honest with you, but an intriguing heavyweight clash and a massively important one for both men. So yeah, I'm curious to get your thoughts, Owen. I hope you're well as always. But yeah, let's get straight into it before we kind of discuss the further, discuss this fight further. What is your final prediction for Filip Hrgovic and David Adeleye this Saturday?
Strange fight. I don't think anyone predicted, and if they did, I'll have next month's lottery numbers. Easy night's work, Filip Hrgovic. I think Hrgovic is, like I say, he's a top 10 heavyweight. If he just didn't quite have the power to get Daniel Dubois out, but absolutely punched Dubois' head off for 6 rounds. Dubois went on to be champion of the world. David Adeleye is getting absolutely nowhere near that level, and absolutely nowhere near is an understatement. He's a British level fighter. Obviously, there's no shame in that at all, but he's stepping up massively from your likes of Fraser Clark's, Jamie TKV's, Dave Allen's, that sort of even Fabio Wardley really. I know he's obviously just beat Justice Uni, but that realistically at that level. So yeah, fair play to him for taking the fight, but I think Filip Hrgovic will get him out there in round 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was such an unexpected one when this was announced. It really was. But yeah, I'd have to agree. Filip Hrgovic has his flaws that we might kind of discuss after this, but he's multiple levels above David Adeleye here. No matter what you say about Hrgovic, he is in terms of boxing IQ. Adelaide. I like David Adeleye in terms of he's athletic, he's strong, he's heavy-handed, but he is flawed, and yeah, he hasn't proved that he's kind of above that British level yet. So I just think Hrgovic would be a bit too clever for him. I'll go with a decision. I was kind of seesawing between stoppage and a decision, but I'll go with kind of a relatively wide decision for Filip Hrgovic. David Adeleye might have success, as I say, Filip Hrgovic is flawed, goes wandering a bit at times, to be honest. That's been a big detraction of his in the past, but yeah, he just has too much kind of class and too much savvy for David Adelaide to get it done. But yeah, I'll go with a decision. You're going for a Hrgovic stoppage. So yeah, we're unanimous on that. So yeah, let's talk a bit more about Filip Hrgovic. As I say, he's a really interesting one, isn't he? The talent is there. It seems to be all a mentality problem with Filip Hrgovic. He can box, he can punch, but he kind of second guesses himself a lot of times, and he is coming off a good win against Joe Joyce. That was an important win for him. Didn't look incredible, but got the job done. What's your thoughts on Filip Hrgovic, and more importantly, kind of will he ever reach that mountaintop of the heavyweight division in terms of winning world titles?
Um, I think you've hit the nail on the head as well. The only thing I would add to it was his gas tank is there's obviously serious doubts over that. I know he went the distance with Joe Joyce, but we've seen it against Daniel Dubois. It was almost a case of I thought he was going to beat Dubois. I got that one wrong, but I was watching rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm thinking, oh, I've got this bang on here. I backed Hrgovic to get the 7-12 stoppage. And I thought I got it bang on, but his gas tank is not there. I think, like you say, he doubts himself. Maybe that's because he doesn't quite have that, that one punch knockout pop. I think he's got every chance of reaching the mountaintop, as we've said on another video. The heavyweight division's going good in the next few years for a generational change. But the problem is, Filip Hrgovic is going to run into a prime Moses Atalma when he could potentially have his shot at the mountaintop. And unfortunately, I know all the bouts will be broken up. Even if Filip Hrgovic gets one of the broken up bouts, I think he's going to run into what we'll be looking at as probably the best of his generation in years to come of Moses Atalma. So I think he's got every chance and every right to get there. But if he bumps into Moses Atalma up there, I think it ends badly for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've hit the nail on the head. He just, as I say, he has all the talent, and especially, we won't beat the likes of a Usyk, but if those belts start kind of getting broken up and he has a good night and he can put it all together, he's a nightmare for anybody. As you say, that Daniel Dubois fight, he was teeing off on Daniel Dubois. Every time he threw, he landed on Dubois. It's just the gas tank as well let him down. So, yeah, if he can get his conditioning right and keep his head on straight, he is a real problem. But as you said, there's a phenom waiting for him in the name of Moses Atauma. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one. But we spoke on another video there. I think Filip Hrgovic would be a good name to kind of get Moses Atauma in with. To be honest with you, if Atauma gets past White in this main event of the same card this weekend, I think that'd be a really good fight for, early 2026. So who knows? Just a quick one, very quick one on David Adeleye. We have discussed on this video and in videos in the past, we don't really see him above that kind of British level. Just a couple of names I want to throw at you to see, because I could probably see him ending up fighting these names in the future. But how do you think he gets on against Dave Allen and Fraser Clark? How do you see those fights going?
I think I'd probably back Adelaide against Fraser Clark. I think I'm not exactly Fraser Clark's biggest fan. I think technically that's not the greatest fight ever. And I just think David Adelaide would be a bit too strong for Fraser Clark. It will be interesting to see, Fraser Clark. Obviously, how long is he going to have demons for? After that horrendous injury he got from Fabio Wardley, if he gets caught big again, is he going to go into his shell? That not even maybe the next one or two fights, that could last for three or four fights. So that can ruin someone's career. Dave Allen, it's I hate predicting Dave Allen fights. You just don't know what Dave Allen's going to turn up. You don't know if he's just going to come in swinging haymakers. I think the Dave Allen that beat Johnny Fisher the second time round, if it's that Dave Allen, if he gets into even better shape, if he stays fit, hungry, and he actually wants it, I think I would back Dave Allen. But the general Dave Allen that we're used to seeing, I think Adeleye would probably beat him on points. But I have faith now he's signed. Obviously, Eddie's got him back in. And he's making jokes about getting him that triple on suite. So, if Dave Allen's locked in, I'll back Dave Allen in that fight.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Although, I think we're saying it for all Dave Allen's career. It's a big if. He can put it together like he did against Fisher both times. And I think, he could cause Adelaide real problems, that version of Dave Allen. But yeah, I'd have to agree. Clark and Fraser Clark, I think, yeah, Adelaide could get the better of. And Dave Allen, yeah, I'd have to edge Adelaide. But look, he has Hrgovic this weekend. A bigger task than both of those men. No disrespect to either, but potential future big domestic fights there for Adelaide. But that was our final prediction, myself and Owen, for this weekend's very intriguing, unexpected heavyweight clash between Filip Hrgovic and David Adelaide, the former British champion in Saudi Arabia, of course, part of that big card headlined by Moses Atauma and Dillian White. So yeah, we're both going for a Hrgovic win. Owen thinks it's a stoppage. I'm going for points. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with our assessment of the fight and our final predictions? Get involved down below. And as always, don't forget, first of all, drop a like on the video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're not doing so already. And follow us on all social media. Owen, it was a pleasure. Take care.
Pleasure as always, mate.